Hey guys, for the extra Sunday content, as well as bonus weekly content on top of that, go to our Patreon link in the description and find the Black Kluge tier or higher and subscribe.
Makes me feel like a... You know what, though? But none of that stuff impresses me. I'm not a big star effer. I'm not really...
Stop it. Just stop.
Not into it.
Stop, please.
You think I'm a star effer?
Why go?
Because I've gotten friendly with Kira. She lives in my neighborhood.
That's because you're a star effer.
No, she invites me to a million things. I said a star effer. She's a nice girl.
What were you doing this weekend?
I'm really into the internet now. I've developed a love of the internet. And I can't stand that this schlub, Phil Graham, is screaming that we have to censor the internet. It's repulsive to me. It's repugnant.
Listen, I'm very well versed on the new technologies. You know what a SIM card is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. I see it in my phone when I take the
You're not
battery.
only going to see it in your phone, you're going to see it in your car very soon, a SIM card. You know. And once that happens, it's called Game Changer.
I never read the social media comments about the show. I can't stand social media because I hate that people have power now. You know, in the old days, if you hated me, you'd have to write a letter to the station.
What do you think about Baba Booey? What do you think about Artie? Everyone likes Artie. Artie's super funny. They describe him as, you know, a little bit crude, but funny and likable. Baba Booey, everyone loves Baba Booey. I'm reading the research, and then it gets to me and they go, well, because Howard's so controversial, maybe this is the reason for the results. Like, 40% of the people kind of like me. The rest of them think I'm a fucking asshole.
Really?
Crude.
Everybody loves
disgusting.
Artie.
Oh, Artie, yeah. They love
Yeah, but are you sure they really know who me and Baba Booey are?
I don't know. They like you.
And the other thought I had was that if the FCC does kick us off the air, how would we reach these millions of people that listen to us? Will we just fade away? What if we have an announcement to make to them or we want to communicate with them? This would be a great contingency. So make it free, make it up there, and let the fans have fun. And I didn't have any moderators, nothing. I said, anyone can write what they want. Yeah, but, so now when you go on there, there's like thousands of posts of just like, and I don't even know who the people are. It's almost like people who hate the show more than people who like it. And it's like you get on there and it's like, Stern sucks. He's a homo. Robin's a pain in the ass. That's a horse face. Artie's a jack off. Kill Howard.
Oh, well, what am I going to do? Anyway, the birthday bash is there for you for free. And not because I couldn't sell it to a network. Yes, many networks did want it, but I thought this
But who
be
would
nice.
even think that way?
I don't know, and the thoughts are so rapid.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm Jim Fix, a.k.a. Fillmore Fingers, your host, and with me is Jay Santi. How you doing, big guy?
Today, I am going by Fred's Chewing Pen J. That's what I'm going by today.
Fantastic. Guys, today we know that we have to complete what did I call it? The Robin. Not the we covered the Robin is wrong thing. We were supposed to do the Robin's Gift, not a bunny rabbit, part 2, and we will get that recorded because there's not much of that left, I don't believe. But today we're going to try to do something that was also in the pike and discuss the Kevin Smith Howard Stern. Let's call it a feud, but wasn't really a feud. It was just more a schism and someone who actually called Howard out for being a phony piece of shit.
I'm so happy that we're going down this road because I actually thought that they were still acquaintances after some time. And then when I spoke to you and I did some research, I found out that they haven't been in the same circle for quite some time. I thought Jimmy kept Kevin in the loop with Howard for some time, but I realized that they haven't been friends for a while.
No. And so basically, guys, he was in with Jay Muse, like in the late, around the time of, let's say, Chasing Amy, and then Dogma, and what was the one? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, around that time, late 90s, early 2000s, basically, before Kevin's movie started, eating a dick. And essentially, Kevin will explain. He was in with Stern, and he'd be a guest. He'd be okay to go there, but the only time he asked to be on was when he released, I think it was 2008, An Evening with Kevin Smith.
No, that was 2002. He did that.
Oh, that far back?
Right. Yeah, it was 2002.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Because I actually did the IMDb of it. That was his Q&A session. It's 2002.
Well, if that's the case, because hold on, let me check. I believe you, but I just for some reason, because I know he's a series of these are spoken word concerts. One sec, Kevin Smith and Evening with 2002. You are correct. Wow.
Yeah,
so he did that the same year he did Jersey Girl.
It was around that time. Yeah. I've liked Kevin for some time. I've been the guy who's the cult follower for the first 5 movies. I've been that guy, and when he would come up on Stern, I would figure. I said, "Oh, that's a perfect fit." Like those guys, could pretty much shoot the shit. And Kevin was never the type of guy that would hold back or any kind of celebrity talk or who he's rubbed shoulders with.
Right.
But when you presented this audio to me, I was like, oh, I don't remember him, Wiggy, being such a dick like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're going to play chronologically, guys, all of the audio that we have, not the ones of him being on the show, because he was in for Winfred's Money in like 2001. In, like I said, late 90s, or probably a couple of 96, 97 appearances. There's probably 3 or 4 appearances from that era of Kevin's zenith, let's say, his biggest success. And he explains that Howard used to call him all the time. And, like he said at one point, 3 days in a row, he called him like in the morning, like just asking him questions about whatever the fuck, because he was on the show and figured, let's get Kevin Smith on the show. What we know, James and I know, was old hands. He was only concerned with who he could hobnob with that was in the business. And Kevin Smith, yes, was in the business. He was with Weinstein for a while. I think Dogma belongs to the Weinstein Company and was produced by the Weinstein Company. Yeah. And as far as I know, they have the rights to it.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because it's probably one of his better or best movies that he's done. I'm a huge Dogma fan. And
yeah. So either way, he went through a lull. Like, what was the one Cop Out he did with Bruce Willis?
Yeah, there was with the Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. He also had his string of failures of like Jersey Girl.
Yes.
He had his hands involved in Daredevil was an atrocity of a fucking superhero flick.
Yeah.
He's had his run of debaucheries of horrible movies.
Basically, anything that falls outside of the realm of the Clerks universe, the USQ universe, as they say it, he doesn't have as much success. And I think that's due to the fact that he's just not as comfortable with other source material. And I don't think that's necessarily a problem. If some filmmakers never have one good idea, let alone many. So if Clerks was the only thing he ever made, and let's say Chasing Amy was his best film, I know you like Dogma, but I think as a director, as a screenwriter, I think that was the best dramatic, funny piece he ever put together.
Yeah, Chase. It was that chain of Chasing Amy and Dogma that actually elevated him to be somewhat of a up and coming writer / director. Chasing Amy was great as well, but I always loved Joey Adams. Oh, she's always been hot to me. But
I like the voice, actually. I think it's cute. Yeah, I never had a problem with him.
Yeah, it's finger cuffs. It was at that time that he was building. I mean, he was such a Stern fan as well.
Sure.
That he always had taken some pride of knowing that was his level of success, that he made it on the Stern show. He has heard those complimentary mentions from him.
That's right. So this is an appearance from December 19th, 2002. And what Kevin's going to explain in some other sections of these audio clips is that the only time he ever called Stern to come on was to pitch the aforementioned An Evening with Kevin Smith DVD. Mm-hmm. And Gary turned him down. But clearly he went to Howard, and Howard said no. Whether or not Kevin did something to Stern before this date and before that that pitch was tossed out is another matter. I don't think so. I would have heard about it. I don't recall in 2001 or 2002, leading up to this point where Howard put him down in terms of like, fuck him, I don't want to see him anymore, because he invited him to his New Year's Eve party in 2001.
Right.
Right. And it was at his house, you know.
Yeah, and Kevin also has that circle of friends with, especially when it came to, you know, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck and such. That, you know, he basically, I believe he co-produced Good Will Hunting, I believe. I think he had his own co-executive produced it. So I wouldn't be skewed to say that Wiggy was probably a bit turned off that Kevin didn't open that door for him to get a Matt Damon or Affleck on the shows during those times, and maybe that was a little bit of a burn
sore spot.
Yeah.
Well, he was clearly with him to get whatever he could out of him, and if he decided, or if he figured out that Kevin wasn't going to scratch his back, then he probably just kicked him to the curb mentally. So anyway, we'll go with this bit here. So listen to this, guys. December 19th, 2002.
On the phone now is a movie director, Kevin Smith. He lives in Jersey. He has a comic book store. He somehow always gets Ben Affleck and that other dude, Matt Damon, to be in his movies. I don't know how.
Because he somehow...
So he's already started off shitting.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he's already dismissed this. Like, if it's just, you know, a fly-by-night.
He runs a comic store. What kind of loser does that? That's essentially what's coming out in his voice.
Right, exactly. And it's like, dude, at this point in time, do you know his fucking resume by here? Shit. We can do a whole fucking rundown until 2002. Regardless of shit or not, his fucking works got greenlit.
Yeah.
Had something to do with the getting Good Will Hunting made.
Oh, really? Well, he must have like taken it from behind because they do every one of his movies.
No, you fucking idiot. He had them in Chasing Amy, and he had Affleck in Mallrats when they were nobody.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you would see Affleck in 200 Cigarettes. What's the one? Phantoms, like all kinds of early stuff before he gets into these Armageddon films and whatever, Sum of All Fears. And, you know, like he becomes a massive star. And after Good Will Hunting, the door was open for both of them. Where their careers have gone is, you know, regardless of that, I think you're more I think that's more of it, and he's just kind of gave it away. Why are they doing his fucking films, but I can't get them in studio?
Right. He's more perturbed that Kevin probably didn't go to him and said, "Hey, remember that Bartman movie that you wanted to do? Let's revisit that and see if we can get it going." Seeing as I'm such a comic book guy, fuck off, Wiggy.
And I'm sure Kevin Smith was like, he didn't think, first of all, if these guys like Stern or they want to do Stern, they'll go on if they're offered. Right. But what does Howard think? Like you get people to you know, back pat somebody and say, man, you got to go do that show. It's awesome. And you know, most of them would like, I like listening to the show, but I wouldn't want to be on it. And it's evidenced by, you know, it took Ben another 20 years to get on the show. And we are forever grateful that he finally did when he did. At any rate, we'll play a little more.
And those guys, you know, are big stars.
Yeah, now they are.
So Kevin, we quite frankly, be honest with you, I haven't allowed Kevin on in a while. In fact, the last
haven't allowed it.
Well, the last 3 times he wanted to call in or come in. I said no.
Really?
The last 3 times. Okay, here we go.
Because I don't think people care about Kevin.
I'm sure they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can almost guarantee they don't care, and I think most people don't even know any of his movies.
He's a very
now that's incredibly an asshole move.
Yeah, he's definitely being very bitchy right now.
Yes,
or as you know, as the Brits would say, very cunty right now. That's like I say, I could just quickly go through that cult following that he had from that stretch of like from 92 till that time period. I mean, it was his movies combined all together had much of a more following than Private Parts. I mean,
yes, they did. And let's be honest. In 1994, you had Pulp Fiction, but you also had Clerks.
Right.
You know, and they both kind of changed. I wouldn't say changed, but they both they have a lot in common. Tarantino and Kevin Smith both were video store geeks. Mm-hmm. And I remember in an interview, Kevin Smith said the difference between Quentin and me are I would hear films, but I wouldn't actually see them because the TV was set up for the patrons to look at behind, where we are at the cash. So all I could do was listen, whereas he saw films more. And so that's why probably why my films are so talky. We would hear the dialogue over and over again, memorize it, and that would be that. But they both broke out in '94 with movies that for more, like I know Reservoir Dogs was a couple years earlier, but Pulp Fiction really shot Tarantino into the stratosphere.
And you would think that, Mr. Wictardo, who would, Mr. I come from humble beginnings bullshit, that he would appreciate Kevin Smith, because Clerks was done with the most minimalist funding money possible.
Yeah, he maxed out his credit cards. He shot on 16 millimeter film, black and white, in the neighborhood. Got everybody. Probably gave everybody. Probably got nothing for it. Maybe they got scale. It's an independent film. I don't know that they were insured. They had to get insurance, but I don't think SAG had a part of this.
Yeah, like in wrestling terminology, you would say that they just got a hot dog and a handshake for the work. And he basically threw everything he had on the line to do this movie, and he got his cult following, in which Wiggy once again had gotten himself when he began when he came to New York and such, had received a cult following. But I guess there has to be more to this, because this opening is very cunty.
It is.
Popular director.
He's a cult sort of guy. There's a cult of people who love his movies.
Yeah, you know what? People in cults don't make money.
I bet he's got a lot of scratch, this kid.
No, in determining who's a guest, sometimes you have to sort of be known.
Right.
Because people
Absolutely.
go, hey, maybe he's a fun guy, but...
He's no M. Night.
So you've had him at your house. Maybe he's a fun guy. That's what's making this even cuntier, because you acted like you were friends, and then you just kick him to the curb. Again, you're not going to hear anything from subsequent releases by Kevin on interviews, in print, on video, whatever, where his story changes, where he says, you know what, I told him he's a fucking idiot, this, that, or the other thing. The one clip where Howard finally responds to him isn't until 2009, I believe, or 2011, actually, when he goes on Joy Behar's show, Behar, whatever. And we've got the clip, and we'll play that too. And he explained fully the story. And then Howard the next day goes after him.
It's almost as though, like, maybe we didn't find it, but maybe like if Kevin probably said something that Wiggy didn't like in the papers or in articles or something, because this whole disregarding the kid's fucking career is just it's very lucid. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either. And if it's something, I don't know, maybe it could be something as simple as we wanted an advanced screener for something and he didn't give it to us, and now I'm pissed off. I mean, he is that petty, and it could easily be something that simple.
Shyamalan.
Right. In fact, if the interview gets real boring, I'm going to pretend like there's a bad connection.
And cut him off?
Cut him off now. But anyway, so the son of a gun calls up and he goes, tell Howard I have tape of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez talking about him.
Really? So now he's got your interest.
Yeah. So I went, oh, really? Now that's an interesting angle, because I know he wants to promote something.
What did, because you guys would know, what did Private Parts initially finish off with financially? The movie itself?
41 million at the box office.
Okay. Domestically and internationally for Dogma. And as of 1999, the movie finished at close to 44 million.
Yeah.
At that status. And that in that era. So,
but how much did it cost?
10 million.
Okay. They made their money back then.
Of course. So, and then, compared to what today's standards would be, it would probably be, a little bit more due to inflation. So, for a guy who has a cult following, goes to say that his movie actually Dogma did actually better than fucking Wiggy's cult following. I mean, let's just, comparing apple, both fruits. I mean, come on. It's just so petty right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I would love to know the real inside story. And keep in mind, guys, we're not going to play his appearance on it was the Nick and Artie show, but then Nick left, and he did interviews with Artie. There's a couple of segments of it. So Artie was very they knew each other very well. They're both Jersey guys, and Artie, you can hear him in this clip. He's actually being pretty respectful. And Artie's only been on the show a year, and he's going I'm sure he's got a lot of scratch. And Jesus, where's this coming from? And I don't think Artie knows what the problem is. Otherwise, he'd be a little bit more. I don't think he'd be as surprised. He doesn't sound. If he wasn't sounding so surprised, and there was a conscious thing, I think he'd know about it already.
Yeah,
it seems to be coming out of left field for him.
Yeah, there's something underlining there.
Yeah.
Well, he also was the guy responsible for that clown movie. Remember that?
Yeah,
Vulgar.
That was a movie. That was really Vulgar the Clown. Go rent that one, Kevin.
You are high, dude. I have not tried to call in since Vulgar.
Really? That's not, according to Gary, the last 3 times you tried to book an appearance, I wouldn't let you.
That is, what, in Gary's word, is law?
He's the guy who takes the call.
He says it. Yeah, listen.
What are we supposed to know?
Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
What is it, Gary? Am I wrong? If I'm wrong, tell me.
Kevin, when did I try to call in?
Kevin, no, I'm not picking on you or anything. It's not like that. You know, sometimes people call to book you. Maybe you don't know it. You got a movie out or you got a DVD release, and maybe you don't know that they're calling on your behalf. But
if I don't call myself, then by all means ignore it. But the last time I called in was Vulgar, and you guys asked me to call in.
Yes, we did.
We did.
So they didn't ask him. They asked him to call. So he didn't ask. They asked him to call in.
Right. For a movie that basically Kevin spoke about saying it was a throwaway movie, that he just did it as an artsy kind of shit slasher kind of film or just silly film.
Yeah, and I don't think he directed. I think he just produced it.
Yeah, he was an executive producer for it. So
there you go.
He's Wiggy's sitting here going by the word of Wiggy. I mean of Gary. Gary or Bowie, but at the same time, he's a bash Bowie for stupid bookings in the beginning anyway. So why is he's claiming that this is law? There's something, like I said, he's driving at something here.
Yep.
Because you were talking about the movie.
I know. Okay, so there are times. Now you got my interest.
So now that's interesting.
Now, according to what I know, you sent a letter saying, here's the tape of Ben Affleck and J-Lo talking about me.
No, I called Casey and I said I have tape of J-Lo and Ben Affleck talking about me.
All right. So we have the tape. I haven't heard it because part of the rules were that, A, I can't play it without Kevin setting it up, number one. And B, I can't listen to it ahead of time.
Okay.
But if it's not really them, I'm hanging up.
Is there a reason for that?
Were those the rules in the mythical letter that I sent?
It says, KC, thanks for squeezing me in. 2 rules. 1, you can't let this get out. 2, you can't play it without me setting it up.
All right, I did send that letter.
You did?
See?
It was a letter. It came with the CD.
Any questions, call me. Let me know what time to call in. It'll take me less than 5 minutes to talk about this. And the DVD I'm plugging, An Evening with Kevin Smith.
What am I plugging?
A DVD, Evening with Kevin Smith, available in stores now.
Oh, boy.
So it's funny. He wanted to plug this DVD, and the only way he could do it is to help assuage Wiggy's ego by saying, this megastar, at that time Affleck was a megastar, pretty big, and J-Lo, who was definitely super, super famous, talking about him in some movie. Well, He didn't say it was stress. It was a movie, but they did. It wasn't. And was it from Jersey Girl, or was it that he hadn't released yet, or was it from Geely?
I think it's most likely from Geely.
That was 2003, but he might have had an advanced copy of it or something. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Kevin.
Yeah.
Not too long afterwards, we did get a Ben Affleck call on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was where J-Lo briefly says hi. And then she passes that was where she barely spoke.
Right.
Yeah.
I love you. I've invited Kevin
in this Evening with Kevin.
Yeah, what do we have to listen to?
Tell me what to listen to. What the clip that I sent?
No. What are you doing in your DVD?
It's 3.5 hours of me doing Q&A with college kids. Pretty funny.
That's funny?
It is funny.
So I got 3.5 hours you go on in this DVD?
He's being so reductive. I've actually I downloaded it when it came out, and I enjoyed it a lot, actually.
Yeah, I've seen it years ago because, like I said, I like Kevin a lot, and it was interesting for me, especially at that time, because I was in my theatrical entertainment ways, and to see that a guy was like kind of not big timing them, and it was actually pretty cool that he spoke to them in a realistic way. I thought it was dope.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this DVD? Do I have a copy of it? Yeah, I don't even want to hear the J-Lo thing. I want to hear what you're saying. What are you talking about?
3.5 hours.
What do they ask you?
How we filled 3.5 hours.
What do the kids ask you?
All number of things. It's all gossipy stuff.
Really?
Who are you?
Somebody asked me what you were like. I said he's a kind man.
Up until today.
Now I can't wait to go back on the road and be like, Dad, jag off. He said I tried to call him 3 times.
Well, we do. In all fairness, we do get calls from publicists. What is it, Dean? You want to talk to Kevin? Hey, we can recreate the DVD.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Dean.
Yo.
Come on, talk.
Well, Kevin, I'm a fan of yours, man. Kevin said you weren't popular.
No. You know what I mean. He's not considered a mainstream director.
Well, I was a big fan of Mallrats, Clerks. That was funny.
I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying sometimes, a lot of people don't know those movies.
Ben and Matt probably like him too. That's probably why they do it.
Right.
That's exactly right. I mean, and first of all, the other thing is, I don't know who goes to see his movies. I'm not saying he's not talented. I don't know who goes to see his movies is saying everybody thinks his movies are shit.
Yeah,
hence, he's not talented. No one's stupid enough to think you're covering properly.
Yeah, it's a thin veil of being complimentary. Like, what are you trying to execute here, sir?
It's a turd meatloaf covered with icing.
Yeah,
like icing just enough to cover the shit color,
Yeah, but it's like you're trying to paint fucking gold on shit and still trying to pass it off as gold. It's like, no, it's fucking horrible.
We know that smell.
Thank my dad for calling in. That was really
that guy was fascinating.
Yeah, Tom.
I just bought the DVD of Bob and Silent J Strike Back.
You did?
Yeah, I love his movie.
Tom, go ahead.
Silent J.
Yeah.
Bob and Silent J. I love his movies. Let's put that one on the board.
It had to come from the newswoman.
Exactly. Let's put that one up on the board. Let's tack that up there.
Yeah, big time.
I've seen all your movies. You guys are great. You're like the Michael Moore of the 90s, Kevin. Okay. You're awesome, man. I love you. I love your stuff. And I saw you on Jay the other night. It was great. Thanks.
There you go. Maureen, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, man, that show last night on the E! channel was, that girl was a dog. It was a sexy concept, but she was a dog.
We're talking to Kevin Smith right now. Go ahead, Maureen.
Howard,
Yes.
how could you say that about Kevin?
What did I say?
He's such a great director.
I didn't say he wasn't a great director. Ho!
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, Santa.
Come here, honey.
I didn't say he wasn't a great director. I said a lot of people don't know his movies, and a lot of people don't know who he is. And it's sometimes you don't book him. That's all.
Okay.
Don't.
I mean, we're not going to put Kevin on the top tier of Spielberg, Cameron.
No, he's a niche director.
Right. And how many people, honestly, unless you're a cinema aficionado, could actually call out directors like Fellini and shit like that? Like, how many of us could actually do that? And at this point in time, in that era, Kevin was for that, what's that, Gen X, Gen Y, whatever, era that is. Whatever my era is. Yeah, whatever
Gen
era.
X. Yeah, Gen X.
That was our guy, because it was, the pop culture references he mentions in his movies and such like that, we were all related to. It was because the Pelican can relate because it was past his time.
And that's the other thing him and Tarantino have in common. Loads of pop culture references, comic book references. I remember reading that Tarantino did an unscripted, uncredited bit for Crimson Tide, like where they start talking about the Silver Surfer. That's a Tarantino scene that he wrote.
Right.
Because they felt Ridley, I think it was Ridley Scott, or is it Tony Scott or Ridley? I think it was Ridley Scott.
I think it's Tony. Wait, I'll check it. Yeah, because I love the movie.
Great movie, actually. One of the few Bruckheimer type films that really holds up, and that's mostly because that you made the two leads. I mean, Denzel and fucking Gene Hackman were astonishing.
That movie is always one that if I ever come across it on cable, I just stop and watch it. The
director.
The other reference that I love with Tarantino was I forgot what movie it was that he describes the the relationship in Top Gun.
It was Sleep With Me. That film. He does a cameo in that. Yeah, it's probably on YouTube somewhere.
It's about homosexuality. I thought Tony Scott. Yeah, I thought it was a great point.
Supposedly, I think it was Lawrence Bender who got pissed off because that was a thing he came up with, and Quentin decided to do that bit. He basically was Robin Williams and stole the bit. And I think it's something like if it goes along the lines of, if you just close your eyes during the Top Gun flying sequence and you hear, "Damn, this kid's good," it's like he's on my tail. It is gay sex. And then the guy in the control tower goes, "I want some butts."
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, there's definitely a homoerotic bent to Top Gun. There's no question that whether the director was told to do it or whether they decided, like Jerry Bruckheimer decided, let's make this let's give it a hint of that. Or maybe that was just normal for the mid 80s. I don't know. But it definitely was
wingman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can be my wingman anytime. By the way, I did see Maverick, and while I thought it was certainly watchable, I didn't get the big hype. I didn't think it was, a 9 out of 10 like a lot of fucking reviewers were creaming and stuff. It was good. It was well done. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I have to check that out. I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I was expecting absolute shit, but it was actually better than I thought. So
start in with me.
Well, I just don't, I think he is very relevant today.
Some of his movies I don't understand.
Howard is not right there in that difference.
Career of Jason Lee.
I think he is very relevant today. Jason Lee.
What about Jason Lee?
He got his career going.
Okay, so what?
Thanks for that.
And some career it is.
So I got Reverend Bob Levy's career going. Who cares?
All right.
Yeah, so he has to work for free on your channels eventually, and you have to pay. He has to pay for ads and work for free as well. Jason Lee, by the way, how great was he in Almost Famous?
Almost Famous.
That TV show, not Better Call Saul. What was it called? My Name is Earl. Yeah,
I loved him in that. That was a great freaking great role for him. I even loved him in as the devil in Dogma. He actually did a real good job for that as well.
He was the best part of Mallrats.
Yes. His thoughts of relationships had me thinking about what my life would be at that time, especially me playing video games, NHL 95 all the time. I was like, wow, I could relate.
No kidding.
All right. It's way more important.
Yeah. What is she talking about?
Who was the other guy that you were just playing in the world's most meanest listener contest?
Yucko the Clown.
Bob?
Yucko the Clown.
That did sound like Uncle Floyd to me.
No, it was Yucko the Clown.
Are you sure it's Uncle Floyd?
Yeah, it's not Uncle Floyd.
Well, we don't know who's
Floyd
Vivino.
I know who's under the makeup, but it ain't Uncle Floyd. All right, listen. So now I'm anxious to hear Kevin Smith's tape of J-Lo and Ben Affleck talking about me. Now, where'd you set it up?
You want me to set it up?
Please.
This is dialogue from the movie. It's the first time these two characters meet, and this is what they say to each other.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
What movie is this?
This is a movie called Jersey Girl. It'll be out later this year.
Wow,
and
so
it's
it is from that.
And it's J-Lo and Ben Affleck?
Yes, sir.
And you directed them?
And wrote it, yes.
Wow.
Well, you are going mainstream now.
Well, I mean, I got it to be on the show, apparently.
Well, come on.
The clown rape movies didn't help, so now it's...
Those clown rape movies aren't happening.
Yeah, that's not going to be some kind of franchise.
All right, here they are.
I bet you're a big Stern fan.
She called him Stern. Most women I know call him that Howard Stern or that jerk Howard Stern.
Well, you don't know the right women. Me, I don't get out of my car until Robin's done with the news. I've lost 3 jobs due to Stern-induced tardiness.
Wow. Did you write that?
I did write that. I feel differently now. Had I written that script today, I'd be like, I don't get out of my car until I'm done listening to Imus or something.
Touche.
I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, I think that shit got cut because that shit went over like a lead balloon.
Well, that is well. First of all, it's totally like leaden and totally shitty dialogue. Yeah,
that's no one's gonna say that Jennifer Lopez is fucking Meryl Streep, but Jesus, that was terrible.
Do you know that if it wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't surprise me if after this appearance he decided, fuck it, I am going to cut it from the film.
He cut it, yeah.
But he did have it on hand to be able to produce it, to get himself in the building.
Man,
oh, dude, why are you being like
You're
that?
a hurtful man, who fosters poor relations between the races.
He's gonna dub it now. It's gonna say, "I don't get out of my car till Elvis Duran gets done with the."
I got to tell you, J-Lo's delivery, it's the best acting I've ever heard her do.
You like that? Well, you're such, what a man of strong integrity you are. A couple minutes ago, you're like that, Kevin stinks, and now you're like.
It's you see the tide turn so quickly, like
yeah, you do.
It's almost as though like it's a dog whistle for fucking Wiggy. As soon as you stroke his ego, his head turns like my dog does whenever you open up a bag of pork rinds. Like he goes on a turn.
You know what? One of the first clips I ever made for a theme for QF involved Norm Macdonald saying, with Chevy, look, Chevy, if you like Howard, he'll like you. It's over. And I honestly, if it's that easy to change someone's opinion, to just, like lather their ass and all of a sudden they're fine with you, then it really shows you more about that person's lack of integrity. I've known enough people in my life that nothing's going to change my opinion of them because of how I saw them interact with certain people or how they interacted with me and I wasn't pleased. And you don't get second chances to make first impressions. And then the second impression is not much better. You kind of peg that person. You don't want anything to do with them. And if they become, I don't know, they win the fucking super lotto the next day or whatever that one in Italy is called. I can't remember. I can't remember. There's a huge lotto in Italy, but then there's one in New York. What's the Super Bowl or something like that?
Powerball.
Powerball, yeah.
For the
And
States.
I don't care. Like, I don't care if the person owns whatever city I'm living in. I don't give a shit. I don't like the person. I don't like the person. That's the end of it. So you pegged him as a phony fuck. I thought that was so telling. And Howard, it went right over Wiggy's wig.
Yeah, he's just so, and especially at this time, his barometer of please like me was off the scale. Like, as much as he sat there and made it seem as though like, I don't give a shit, I don't rub shoulders with those Hollywood people, I don't fuck with celebrities, he was still like sniffing around to see, does somebody like me? And Kevin would have been that guy to get. You can't take away from the fact that regardless of what you say about his movies, he had mega stars or who became mega stars in his movies. Chris Rock, like we mentioned, Lee, Affleck,
Alan Rickman, Christ, George Carlin in his film, like,
right.
Not in terms of movies, but I mean, he's a comedian. He was a comedian's comedian, basically, and he's hugely revered. You had, and actually, it was funny, but for a while there, you got Chris Rock in there too. That's the other connection. What you reminded me of was that dinner he had with Rock, where he went over to the friends table, and someone else was there. Like, I can't remember who it was. It might have been what's her name, Gwyneth Paltrow, or Sheryl Crow or something. And like, what about don't you guys have feelings for Howard? And they're like, for Howard? And he was upset that he couldn't get at the fucking cool kids table. And that was never like, again, if more people had heard that exchange and heard Howard be like that, I think they would have probably headed for the hills a lot earlier than they did.
Yeah, he's just, like I said, I think he's a little bit downtrodden at this time because he wasn't really getting the people that he had certain names coming on the show, but we were still seeing Beetlejuice dressed as fucking Uncle Sam
they were treading water, and they would get WWE stars basically.
Yeah, Playmate of the Month of June and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's some good delivery.
Yeah, that's terrific.
But we thought it was.
You got spied, dude. Way to stick to your opinions.
We thought it was the people, J-Lo and Ben Affleck saying it, but it was the characters in the movie.
It's the characters, yeah.
The only way she would say Howard's name is if it was written.
There was never an argument about saying that line. They happily did those lines. That was my little homage to you.
Well, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, brother. Boy, oh boy, brother.
So give it to him. You got to give him credit. He's giving it to him. He's like, look, he's not going back and say like, oh yeah, we're all good now. He knows he's a phony fuck, and he just busted him.
Yeah, and it's the same. Oh man, and hopefully we could cover this one too, unless you guys did already. The Jon Favreau relationship that he had.
We will be doing that, and that Iron Man thing. We got to cover that.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Because the same, and he came in and did the same shit. Stroked his ego. Gave Gary Shandling the Senator Stern name as a reference, and was upset that the Iron Man mask wasn't
the original.
What
you could have told him it was, and then just like
yeah,
he wouldn't have known.
He would have known the difference.
No. Like, oh, fucking idiot.
Cabby has a question for you. What is it, Cabby?
Hey, Kevin.
Yes?
Is it true that Ben Affleck, were you at the New Year's party last year with Ben Affleck?
At Howard's?
No.
I was at Howard's New Year's party last year.
Well, the rumor has it last year at some New Year's party that Ben Affleck was last year. He was wrestling with one of his friends and his wig fell off, and he begged everybody not to tell anybody.
He maintains that story, there's no validity to that story.
Well, we're trying to validate whether it's a wig or not, and I got a lot of money riding on it, and I need to know the truth.
Having seen that hair and at work and under the comb of a makeup and hair people, that's real hair.
Cabby's obsessed with that.
Yeah.
I don't even know why.
That was
like
one of the most insane rumors I've ever read online. That dude's hair is all real.
Is it?
As opposed to the guy on the mic now.
No, that's what I'm saying. The roles were reversed. No, Ben's wig actually didn't fall off. It was held by Velcro. Or it stayed in place, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor, and I've even
Maury's wigs don't come off.
Considered that he does wear a toupee or some sort of hair fill-in, but
I've looked very closely, and I don't think it's true.
Cabby's building.
If they are indeed plugs, they're the most expensive plugs you've ever seen in your life.
Cabby builds his whole show around it.
I know.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, the new DVD, An Evening with Kevin Smith, is available in stores now.
Right now, go out and get it.
It's
Howard, you are now obligated to buy at least one yourself.
I will buy it and I will watch it.
Actually, I was going to get that tip for you as a Christmas present, Howard. That was your Christmas present.
Terrific. Now I don't have to go buy it.
And you wouldn't watch it anyway, but now.
Yeah, because it actually has thought-provoking conversation, which would fucking go over your head.
The John Peters story is one of my favorites. The Superman Returns, whatever, the giant spiders story.
Mm-hmm.
That one's one of my favorites. But I will tell you this: now that he's called Stern out, don't you agree that it's one of those things? And now he's in Howard's shit. What do you call it? Now you just joined the shit list for this because he called him on his shit, and Howard never likes when people do that.
Yeah, that and the fact that I would have loved for him to elaborate with the fact that said, yeah, I'm such a shit director, and no one knows
me at your house.
I was at your place. Like,
yeah,
you could have called him out on that.
Yeah, aren't you insulting yourself if I'm so low rent? Look who I'm hanging with. I guess that makes you low rent.
Hey, congratulations on that magician you brought.
Just wait on that.
It's fun. There's I think you'll dig it. There's comic book stuff on it. Talk about Superman.
Kevin and I have a lot in common, actually.
Yeah, with the comic book stuff.
Because Kevin was freaked out that I invited him to my New Year's party last year, and I was like, I like Kevin. I mean, Kevin's into comics. I'm into comics. He's into like.
Fooled me this morning, dude.
Oh, get over it.
Two things. Number one, just as much as I hate the fact when he says that he's a fucking music lover, I want to explode when I hear that he's a fucking comic book fan. It's the worst thing that he could say to any fucking geek out there in the world. You know one fucking character and you don't even know him well. You like Superman. Like, well,
it's the way a 7-year-old likes the Hulk.
Right. It's like I could pick it up and put it down and just not pay attention to it, but still tell people I'm a big. What's Superman's dog's name? Like, all right, fucking any Junior Trivia Pursuit fucking game answer. Honestly, you're not. It infuriates me every time I hear him say that.
I'll give you one. I'll do a little trivia for you. Just let's real quick. What are the effects of gold kryptonite on Superman?
Gold kryptonite. It does it enhance his strength?
Ooh. He will lose his powers permanently.
Permanently, right. Shit, I knew it was the other way around. Fuck, damn it. God, I should have known that.
That's all right.
Superman. I'm not a Superman fan anyway. Give me anything Batman.
You want Batman? Okay. Let's see. Catwoman's real name.
Well, she had numerous. She had different.
The original Catwoman in like our era.
Felicia Kyle.
Selena Kyle. You're mixing her up with the Black Cat.
With the Black Cat. Felicia is from Spider-Man, right?
You got it. There you go. You're mixing up your crime fighters. Anyway, one more to get 1 out of 3. No, I'm just joking. We'll keep going. Anyway, yeah, you're right. No, he knows. He might have grown up reading a couple of stray comics, but he wasn't a comic geek like all the guys at Radio Karate. Still reading some when we're given recommendations, but it's mind you, it's more adult oriented stuff, and really depressing shit, like the Boys and whatnot, but and basically anything Mark Waid writes. But either way, in this particular case, he was into comics the way he's into grilling. He's into the way he's into fucking taekwondo, or the way he was into cycling. For a minute, photography.
It just annoys me because my whole house is set up around the geekdom of ridiculousness of pop culture, and to hear him say, that Superman could revolve around the Earth as faster than the Flash, and shut up, shut up.
Well, it does sound like someone who's just reading the cliff notes of something when he does, because yeah.
You know my show.
Yeah, I do know your show,
dude. I'm honest. Sometimes we book you. You had something good going on, so we booked you.
So when you're hot, we'll book you, but when you're not, we're not down with you. Like that's what he's saying right there.
Right, definitely. He's at least he's not being fake. He's actually being transparent here.
Well, yeah, finally, when you're on the air with the person and you don't have any wiggle room, because pardon the expression, you don't have any breathing room. You're gonna have you have nothing to do, but you have to fall back on ultimately what sounds like the truth. But Kevin knows now, so now in his head he's going like, I've already written you off. Like he won't say it, but he probably should. Kevin. Yeah.
In fairness, the only time I've ever been on the show is any time that I've wanted to be on the show or tried to be on the show. You guys are very good about having me on the show.
Most directors don't get on this show at all.
I know. I hear you. I'm not complaining.
It's just you and M. Night Shyamalan, and the reason Shyamalan gets on is because he's an Indian and I can do all my Indian jokes.
Correct.
Have you had M. Night on the show?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Many
He's a good guy. He came. We were shooting.
Many times I call into Howard Stern show.
I like it.
I like it. I love it. I love it so
you
much.
had to plug in my movie.
It plugged my movie.
I've been late on the set because Stern-induced tardiness.
Next movie, Artie and J-Lo.
There you go.
Hey, bring J-Lo and Ben in the studio, will you?
Yeah, believe me.
Right. Yeah, that's going to happen. Talking about wishful thinking at the time, right? Except you get it fucking 20 years later with a fucking allegedly coked up fucking.
Oh man, the interview that kept on giving.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
We'll try when the movie. I will try.
That'd be a good interview.
I'm sure they're lining up for that interview right now.
And you know what I'll do? I'll ignore those two and just talk to you. All right, later, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Kevin Smith, everyone. Check out his new DVD, An Evening with Kevin Smith, available in stores now, especially if you want to go into the business. You can learn all about it from Kevin. I guess.
He said it was gossipy.
Thanks for that tape, Kevin. More importantly, thanks for the career of Jason Lee.
Yeah.
For all of America.
Yeah, we all want to thank you for Jason Lee.
I bet you're a big Stern fan.
She called him Stern. Most women I know call him that Howard Stern or that jerk Howard Stern.
Well, you don't know the right women. Me, I don't get out of my car until Robin's done with the news. I've lost 3 jobs due to stern-induced tardiness.
Wow.
I think that scene needs some music.
Fred, can you put music behind that scene and I'll replay it? Robin seems to feel it needs to be scored.
I think it needs music too to be played over top so you can't fucking hear it.
I'm looking more of like executions or bombings that should go over.
Yeah, maybe some white noise.
Yeah,
wash it away.
ASMR.
It's a little
shit.
flat.
I don't like her accent in that.
I bet you're a big Stern fan.
She called him Stern.
So he's so hot for this clip now, he's got to play it again and again because that's as close as he's going to get to a sniff of J-Lo.
Exactly.
That's so pathetic. You played it once, now you're playing it twice, now a third time.
Yeah, it's almost as it's almost as theatrically memorable as fucking the scene in Casablanca. This exchange. Jeez. Keep
Most
playing
women I know call him
Your class, they're talking. Listen, Jersey Girls classic cinema.
that Howard Stern, or
The Barefoot Contessa, the Amazon Queen. Let's see, Bridge on the River Kwai, and Jersey Girl.
Jersey Girl.
Did you ever see that Dick Capri joke on the Drew Carey roast where he goes, when I think about great actors, only 3 names come to mind. Sir Anthony Hopkins, Sir Laurence Olivier, and Drew Carey, ladies and gentlemen. And Drew's dying because you know where the joke's going. He goes, and I also read your book, Dirty Jokes and Beer. I think it's one of the finest pieces of literature that I've ever read. And when I think of the finest pieces of literature I've ever read, I think of Tolstoy's War and Peace. Anyway, so let's continue a little more.
Where's the music? Oh, you're not ready. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It doesn't. You can't score a movie just like that.
It takes 2 seconds.
It should only take 2 seconds to score.
I bet you're a big Stern fan.
she called him Stern. Most women I know call him that Howard Stern, or that jerk Howard Stern.
Well, you don't know the right women. Me, I don't get out of my car until Robin's done with the news. I've lost 3 jobs due to stern-induced tardiness.
Didn't help.
See, I think it got a little better.
So now he just shit on it again.
It actually did help it.
A little bit, yeah. Well, let me, Christ's sake, no one's gonna mistake her for Betty Davis, at least not for another 20 years.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Or that may not be the exact music, but it was better.
I think it'd be better if she was.
Now, that scene needs music. You know, like, it's really funny how some scenes in movies don't need music. Like, for example, this scene right here doesn't need music. Wait, I guess it does. See how music helps?
So he's playing some porn?
Yeah, I guess that's what it is, and it's
the sound is so awful. I mean, like, what am I trying to?
Zach on top of it.
This is the audio version of Where's Waldo. I'm trying to find what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, but you know what scene I'm talking about? Like, this scene doesn't need music. Wait.
Oh, fuck. Do we need to go through the rest of this? I think there's not much more.
We're good. And by the way, how embarrassing that in 2002 he's on carts.
Yeah, of course. I'll be honest with you. When I left for Asia, I was in 2000, and at that point, I think that's the first time, maybe 1999, 2000 was when I saw someone with a satellite feed of their version of like Audio Galaxy or Kazaa, something that they used to get digital songs, like their version of iTunes back in the day, DJing the music all night from playlists. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was the most amazing thing 22 years ago. Now, of course, you got pocket computers that do the same shit, but technology changes. But you're right. There's no reason to have carts.
There was a
2002.
There was a caller maybe about 5 years prior to this who was playing sound effects over the phone because he had a soundboard on his computer, and he was saying, Fred, step your game up, in other words. He's like, come on, you're on carts? And even to this day, by this, you could have at least had CD ready to go.
Oh God, wave files were huge back in the early in the mid 90s on those new websites. Was it E-Bombs World? That was one of the sites. Yeah.
Right.
And that's where I first heard the Linda McCartney singing, Hey Jude.
Oof.
That he got a lawsuit. Oh man. Anyway, the next one is going to be this one is called Howard Stern Broke My Heart, and this is him on the Joy Behar show. It's a real short clip, guys. Let me set it up. Here we go, guys.
Are you feuding with Howard Stern?
No, not at all. I was on last time.
What's that about? What's that question about?
Somebody, I haven't been on Stern in a few years. I go on Opie and Anthony now. I go on every radio station on the planet, but I haven't been on Stern in a couple of years, and that's only because the last time I was on, I was promoting an evening with Kevin Smith, a DVD I did that was like me speaking and stuff like that. And
Really?
Yeah. Can you believe it?
Just
That was
speaking.
me talking and whatnot. And I'd been on Stern many times. He would call me up like 1 week every morning to ask me a comic book question. I was always there. I grew up listening to that show and whatnot. That day when he had me on, he had this kind of really reductive, like Kevin Smith is always calling in and trying to be on this show. That broke my heart. I was like, I've never once called this show asking to be on it, with the exception of this time to promote this DVD. And at that point, I was just like, you feel weird. Like you're going over some dude's house who's the popular kid, and then when you're there with him alone in the room, he's nice to you, but then when other people are looking, he's like, look at the fat guy. The fat guy's a loser, everybody, right?
Well, he's
I like to go to Opie and Anthony, and you can literally sit there, and those dudes are like, take the ball, dude, tell stories. Like, we talk all the time. You talk. Tell your stories.
I see.
So for me, I'd much rather go a place where they share the ball, and they're not going to make you feel bad. Like, just to get on the show, you have to run a gauntlet of insults, and it's like, I'm too old for that. You know? And there are people who are willing to talk to me who don't want to insult me either.
See.
So I'm not mad at them, but I'm just like, at this point, and then I tried to get on this week because I was in town, and a lot of people on Twitter were like, go on Stern. And it had been like 6-7 years. So I was like, you know what? I'm here in town. I got a free morning on Wednesday. I'll try. And I tweeted Gary and Howard about being on the show, but they were like, we're book solid. So everyone said it's because I did Imus and I also did O&A, but whatever. I don't play those politics games.
All right.
You got to admire the level of honesty that came out in that segment, because a lot of other celebrities would have just shied away and would have been like, no, it's just that, we don't really have, the same kind of scheduling going on, and gave a blasé kind of response. There was that genuine aspect. It's like, yeah, he fucked me over, and this is basically Wiggy, what he usually would do, which is burn those bridges with napalm. That's exactly what he does here.
Yeah, and it's not quite Marcy Turkey, or it's getting into that point, but because as I said before, what we're going to play, that clip is from. Hold on, let me see what I got here. 02/10/11, so probably February 10th, 2011.
Yeah, and I remember when Kevin would go on O&A and such, and yeah, he it was more of, guys just being guys. It wasn't judgmental. It was just, them riffing and having, a good time, a good conversation and stuff, where you're almost sitting here going, yeah, maybe you didn't really need to go on Stern. You were good with what you were doing.
Yeah. What I loved about that appearance, first of all, was kind of lame that Joy decided to send it to Howard, because that's the way he explains how he got it. Of course, it can't be because he, tuned into it personally. So that's actually insulting to Joy. She's like, what do you mean you didn't see my show? You mean you don't pay attention to me? Fuck you. He was essentially, you're right. He was saying, look, I like Rogan, who doesn't want to go in and become a whack packer. He doesn't want to be made into a whack packer by him saying, oh, you're pissed off about women. Howard based this on a joke in one of Joe's jokes that was gay weightlifters or something like that, and
right.
Yeah, and he claimed he saw Joe in Scores or somewhere, and he was, being verbally abusive to women, and that he must hate women, painting him with the same brush that he gets painted with. Right. And Joe, to this day, he's never really spoken ill of Howard, except for the fact that he didn't like how he was being treated. And you're right. It's very rare for any kind of celebrity, regardless of their stature, to admit, I don't get along with this person. Because in the old days, if you didn't like them, you didn't like them. You just never interact with them ever.
Yeah, it also gives me the double back of thinking about like how Wiggy took his mention in a Marvel movie and was just perturbed about what he got out of it. Where when I listened to the interviews that Kevin Smith had about his mention in a Marvel movie, and it was from a Stan Lee line, and where he teared up and was so appreciative of it. You look at the spectrums of comic book fans, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. It's like my Iron Man mask, it wasn't really in the movie. It was a prototype. Shut up.
Right. Or I can't get the latest screener from Marvel. I can't get the Hulk. That's the level of your fandom. You won't actually pay your own money to go see this film like every other fan.
Oh, well, he argued with Bowie about it. He says, "You don't think I'm a movie screener? What kind of dope do you think you are? I'm a better critic than you can be."
Well, that Cloverfield saga where the screener got out, and that was Ralph.
Oh,
that
yeah, definitely. Hell yeah, that was Ralph.
Yep.
Because they were not maybe a few years before that, they were getting screeners. One of them that he really pissed him off was like from the Late Show.
Yep.
And the Late Shift. It was a Late Shift movie. And they got the screener, and the whole office was copying it.
Yes.
Yeah. So we know there's some debauchery going on over there.
Oh yeah, they're just complete shitheads. So the next one is a video of Howard. I managed to get this one ages ago, and we're going to play it for you. One sec. Let me set it up.
I was sitting at home and then getting tweets and emails about the movie director Kevin Smith bad-mouthing me.
I saw a little bit of that.
I was choosing to ignore it.
What happened between the two of you?
Here's what happened in a nutshell, as far as I'm concerned, and it just seems ludicrous. The guy's a weird guy. I mean, I don't really know much about Kevin Smith.
But you were friendly.
Friendly. I had him over my house one New Year's Eve, my apartment for a party.
That's what I'm talking about.
And even that was weird because after I had him and I was trying to, he was a guy from Jersey and I was trying to develop something of a friendship. He was like, "Why did Howard have me at his house?" He was weird, I don't know.
He wasn't like that then. He was like that with Joy. Like, why are you inviting me to your house if I'm such a shit?
Right.
Like years later, he's asking, like, what are you doing? You're inviting, what are these mixed signals?
I'm telling you, he is not the king of all media. He's the king of revisionist history. He just could spin anything he wants. And we as listeners for some time fucking ate it until we finally realized, this shit you're serving us is shit. It's not real cuisine. It's shit.
It is, yeah. And the sun's not shining out of his, Ralph poked behind. We know the truth when we hear it. And this sounds like bullshit. And notice the crazy eyes have to be covered up. He's got these Elvis TCB glasses on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because they weren't shooting him from an angle anymore. Now he's got to be right up front.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what it was. We used to have him on the show.
Right.
And a nice enough guy. I liked him. I had to ask Gary to refresh my memory even. I don't even, think about it. Anyway, so we'd have him on the show. And the weird move there was that a lot of times his publicist or somebody would call a lot to have him come on the show.
Oh.
And Kevin Smith was saying in the one thing, he goes, "Oh, your publicist." He goes, "I don't even have a publicist."
Right. And even if that, right, even if that were the case, that's their job. That's what they do. And then what did Kevin do afterwards, after that interaction that they had? He probably told his management team, or whatever the case may be, don't call Stern anymore.
Yep.
That's it. No, they're on the blackball list. Don't put them, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Yep. And the other thing is, and he wanted to stick it to Howard by saying, well, I'm not going back. And if I do make it big again, like I have an upswing in my career, and it didn't happen, but he's still catering to his fan base, the way Howard is, with both of his fans that are still, above ground. And
his fans, High Pitch Eric and Marianne from Brooklyn.
Right. And the employees in the back office doing the Papa podcast, which, by the way, guys, since I recorded the one episode, since I said it was 55 subscribers, now I think it's 57. So it's a slow build, much like the iPhone.
It's going to hit a bit of a stumble. It's just going to hit Mount Baldy.
So anyway, let's see what we got.
So you and I were on the air, and I said, "Gee, Kevin's publicist is calling a lot." Something to this effect. This is 100 years ago. I said,
"It's not 100 years ago. It's 2011, so it's like 10 years ago. We're going to say, or it's not even 9 years ago." And why do you have to be consulted about the memory of this?
Because he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't retain anything because a lot of stuff just doesn't equate to his life and his livelihood.
Right. And if he doesn't remember slights, he remembers the slights he's created in his mind.
Right. Or the fact that if I say that I didn't remember it, basically it never happened.
Yep.
Geez, it's a little much. So he took that as a great insult that that I revealed this.
Oh, dear.
And he made the announcement that he was never coming on our show again.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I insulted you. I didn't mean to insult you, but all right, you're insulted. And
he never made the announcement he was not going to come on the show anymore. He said that on Joy's show just now.
Yeah.
The day before.
And he just said that we just didn't do it. He didn't make an announcement. He just wasn't doing it.
There you go.
Plus, also, like Kevin mentioned, once you're not exclusive to Wiggy, and Wiggy used to always give this idea, how can I, I'm not going to stop people from doing different shows. Senator D'Amato would go on Imus and other radio shows. I can't stop him from doing other shows. But yeah, you do feel slighted when people start doing other shows.
Yes, you do. Yep.
That's the way you tantrum. Why don't you just call in and say, hey, what's going on? But whatever it was, fine. He agreed. He agreed. He's the one who stopped coming on our show.
Right.
I didn't stop coming on the show. I didn't tell him not to come on the show. He just made a decision. I'm never going on that show again. And then he would do the Opie and Anthony show. He would do the Imus show, according to what Joy Behar has him on coming up Friday. And she sent me a piece of video of him talking about me.
Okay.
What a bitch. So she sent it in advance. It's not even out there. And he's beat it. Oh, this is even worse. So she decided surreptitiously, here's a bit of a thing you might want to hear and talk about. What a cunt. At least put it on the air. Don't forewarn him. What are you giving him? What are you giving this goblin a fucking advanced taste?
Because you pretty much know that he wouldn't even fucking watch the show, let alone even that it was on the air. Yep. So that was her reasoning, just to put it out there, just to get some kind of underlining plug.
Yeah, maybe it was that. Maybe it was she was smarter than I think, and she just wanted to have it like a ratings grab. She thinks if he mentions it on the air, and will take the bait because it's against him.
Yeah,
So,
and so he would go on these shows, and he wouldn't really badmouth me, but he'd give me the backhanded badmouth. He'd go. Oh, I'm not feuding with Howard. First of all, he is feuding with Howard, but I'm just not feuding back with him. I didn't even know I was in a feud with him. He didn't want to come on the show. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? First of all, I don't really have directors on the show. The only one I'd have on is Ron Howard, who's known as, Opie, and he's also known as Richie Cunningham. Yeah. He's well known. He's like Alyssa Milano. He's known more for.
Yeah, he was also an embrace of the vampire.
His point of reference is Alyssa Milano.
Jesus Christ Almighty!
Oh, no.
Do you notice that when struck for the names, Robin had to provide him with both of Ron Howard's characters' names?
Right. Yikes. Okay.
Jesus Christ Almighty!
His acting, and now it's kind of cool that he's a movie director and he's done some incredible movies, incredible mainstream movies. And
I disagree, and I'm sorry. I fell asleep in Apollo 13. Backdraft was awful. What was that one he did? The Paper.
I actually liked that movie. I did.
Come on.
Michael Keaton did a hell of a job in that movie. I liked that movie. I did.
I like Michael Keaton, but that was just watching taffy melt.
I like the Michael Keaton, Glenn Close relationship in that movie. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually arguing about this. What the fuck has happened to me? Shit.
Well, welcome to the Glenn Close Review Appreciation Hour, and we're going to talk a Jagged Edge next.
Oh, Fatal Attraction coming up soon.
Or Dangerous Liaisons, yeah.
No, but he also mentions it like Ron Howard, as a matter of fact, he just started directing that year or the year before. Man's been directing for years. It's not any.
Splash was his first film, if I'm not mistaken, and I love that film. But that was because John Candy was so good in that.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was just listening to a podcast. Matter of fact, it was Kevin Nash's podcast. Shout out to Click This. He they if you for his podcast they slightly talk wrestling, but they talk a lot of other stuff. And
Sure.
he was very much talking about his appreciation for John Candy. And when you look at his listing of movies, like his IMDb's and all that, you're like, wow, he's been in a lot of like phenomenal movies. It's sad that we lost him so early.
Well, I mean, and I count myself as a well, obviously being a huge SCTV fan, but John Candy was along with like say John Ritter, Jack Benny. I'm trying to think of they all seem to start with J, but they were almost universally adored by everybody that worked with them. And there's a video out there of Debo. You know, is Tony Lister? Is that his name in real life?
Yeah, Tony Tiny Lister.
Tiny Lister, Zeus.
Yes.
And I keep mixing him up with Tony Atlas, both another big guy, you know, had a stint in wrestling. And he said he worked on Armed and Dangerous, and he had a great story about John Candy, about how he said that was the most amazing person I ever met. He said he was an angel. He said there was a guy on the crew. His father died. John Candy paid for him to go. I think I mentioned this on the show. Paid for him to go to the funeral. Had a rental car, like a drive this guy wherever he needed to go. Paid for the funeral, and told him, here, you stay in whatever hotel while this is happening. And when you come back, we're still going to be paying you for the days you missed.
Wow.
And then another guy, he said there was another guy on the film, he was getting evicted. John Candy gave him a hug. And when the guy got back to his house, whatever, there was like a roll of $10,000 in his jacket pocket.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it's a rarity that you could find individuals, especially in Hollywood and celebrity that are like that. And was a big wrestling fan as well. He was a huge wrestling fan.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Wiggy.
I don't
Something
really
you didn't get from John Candy.
No, he didn't.
Really have directors on all that much. I had Ivan on a few times because I know him from Private Parts, obviously, and I have a tremendous affection for him.
James Cameron.
I had him on once. I wish he'd come on again. I mean, this is the guy who made Avatar. You know, that was like a huge thing. And Terminator. Yeah, I don't know what.
You know, the only reason he went on was to plug Titanic, which he had sunk. Yeah. Like what, 200 million of his own money into.
Yeah, pun intended. He sunk
yeah.
Yeah, and you notice that he went on and never came back.
Yep. He never gets that second play date.
Yeah.
The bouncy house.
I don't
Kevin, and Kevin makes some small movies, and it's fine. I got no problem with that.
I actually looked at one of his movies the other day. Didn't even realize I was watching one. It was called Cop Out.
There you go. Good for him. So, he decided not to do my show anymore. So he hasn't been on in years.
Yeah, he's not big. You had a production company, couldn't get one film made, barely had a TV show, barely, and did one film. And you didn't, that wasn't your production company. That was Reicher.
Right. But you bankrupt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much bankrupt the fucking production company.
Exactly. And the thing is, yes, filmmakers, man, they take their shots, and sometimes they miss, and sometimes I can't remember if it was Lou Wasserman, but it was one of the heads of the studios, maybe Warner Brothers, or maybe it was one of the maybe it was Mayer. But they said, look, we're gonna make 52 films a year. Some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to be bad. Some of them are going to be absolutely, wonderful. But we're in the business of making product, basically. So you can't know what's going to be a hit. You can't know what's going to be whatever. And Johnny Carson used to say, everybody, before Hee Haw came out, we heard the pitch and we were all laughing. That turned out to be a monster hit show. So he says, you cannot predict what's going to be big.
Yeah. And a lot of these movies that Kevin would make, production companies love because they're cheap to make, and many of them get their overhead. They're in the black because of how cheap they were to make and how much they got back on their return. I think probably the most expensive one that he ever did was probably Cop Out, because he had two big leading actors in at that time. with like a Bruce and such, and they had to film in New York. A lot of the scenes, were shot in my neighborhood, so I knew that it was happening here. But it's still, you still had a company, a movie company that says, yeah, we'll give him X amount of dollars because we know we're going to get somewhat of a return from him.
Yes, so I mean, not always. I mean, Yoga Hosers, and I don't know what's the other one. Red State, was that another one of his?
That was another one, yeah.
That and like these are things that tanked. But at least he took a shot. You take several shots, actually. Yeah. He didn't get it right.
Like you mentioned, Ron Howard movies, he gets these movies because he's Ron Howard. He's Opie Taylor. Or is it like Eddie Murphy said in Saturday Night Live? Opie Cunningham, Opie Cunningham.
Well, but he has a track record. Like he has a CV. He's made hits. He's had critical acclaim. He's made money. He's lost some money for people. It depends on the production. But I mean, even Oliver Stone, like Oliver Stone's made some fucking dogs, and lost money for studios. Alexander, my God, what a fucking wonderful mess. I got to interview him one time. Years ago. Just not to interview him, but I got a chance to ask him a question. I go, in the wake of like Game of Thrones being so massive, and HBO doing Rome, the series, for 2 years, and building a whole studio in Italy, in whatever the name of the studios were, and literally filming in the streets of Rome that they created. Do you think Alexander would have been better served if he'd made it a 12-part series, or even a series like a two season arc kind of thing? Because his life was so vast, you can't put it in 4 hours of a film. Alexander the Great. And he said, in retrospect, yeah, but at that time, the only things that were going on, like Rome was an example, but it lost money. Like it was too expensive, and they just didn't have they weren't going to finance a third season, which would have gone into, Christ. It would have been about, anyway, he says, but, years later, that probably would have been exactly what we would have done.
Yeah, because you're right. Because like you can't cram everything that he's done in his life in 2 hours. Like it's not it's not beneficial for the history.
Right. And why does Alexander the Great have an Irish brogue? And then he had him do the voice of Colin Farrell be Irish Alexander, but then he had what's her name, Angelina Jolie, act like doing a really shitty version of Irene Papas, and she said, "These are my snakes." She sounded like some Russian prosy, and like, okay, so you didn't care. Anybody do whatever they want. I'm just in this production for coke and hookers.
Yeah, it was almost like a production of Caligula without the porn.
Pretty much.
And so. It's been so long that I didn't even remember any of this. I am telling you what Gary told me this morning about the whole thing. And so, like, he didn't come on, and then he'd go on these shows.
Once again, Gary with the source of the fountain of truth in both of these segments. It was that.
Gary, line him up, Larry. Line him up, Gary, so Howard could piss all over it.
And they'd ask him about me. And he would say, in a backhanded kind of way, I don't have a feud with Howard, but, I really like going on shows where they let me talk.
Treat me with respect.
And treat me with respect. So what he's saying is, my show doesn't let anyone talk, and my show doesn't treat him with respect. And I wasn't aware of this, and it's fine. I don't have any problem with Kevin Smith. I think he's a very talented man.
No, he said at that moment.
Yeah.
Was when he left because of how you treated him.
Yeah.
And yes, he goes on to other shows where they treat him with. Far be it for me to have a podcast where I have my guests come in and I shit all over them. I'm going to assume that I might never get them back again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that just me? I mean,
well, let's He notices he keeps, like in his book, he keeps years out of this. He decides we're going to make this all current.
Yeah, and
he's been on my shows recently. We're like, no, he hasn't been on in almost a decade, and you're not willing to admit that the guy took himself out of the show.
Right.
And you're also not going to give proper context to his statement, what he was talking about, because you claim you don't know anything. Well, then why the fuck are you talking about it? Why don't you put Bowie on the air and have him give his stupid war story?
And he's never he didn't state that they've reached out to him and he refused.
That's right.
He didn't convey that. So it's two parties that just said we're not fucking with each other anymore. And everybody's like, okay. But now Wiki feels slighted.
Of course.
I guess.
Yeah.
And he wrote a script for a Superman that I thought was tremendous. I went on the air and talked about it. I don't know. I don't do that for everybody,
Right.
but there was no pleasing him. He's obviously got a bug up his ass. So anyway, so he stopped coming on the show. Fine. I somehow my career succeeded without his help. And anyway, out of the clear blue, like 3 days ago or something, he calls up Gary and announces that he wants to come on the show, and he's free on Wednesday. For this Wednesday, yesterday, he's free in 3 days. So Gary comes to me and he goes, "Listen, we're all booked up, and Kevin Smith wants to come." I said, "Well," and he goes, "And maybe it'll be interesting because you guys have been having a feud." I said, "Listen, I what's interesting? I'm not in a feud with Kevin. I don't know Kevin."
You see what he's just doing here? Mm-hmm. That he's meshing up the whole conversation. He's conflating it, and he's twisting it to bend what people haven't seen yet, because they have yet to see the interview. And to be honest with you, I don't even think that he saw it. I think he's getting what Will and Gary's probably told him, or Jason.
That's right.
Because
they probably heard it, they watched it, and they're giving him second and third hand information.
Right. Because he said,
and Bowie's he's a complete liar.
He's a liar, and he always inflates what he has to inflate because it feeds to Wiggy's fucking narrative.
Right.
But he said it in the conversation. He says, I reached out to the Stern Show because fans and listeners wanted me on. And I said for years I wasn't going to do it. I said, you know what? Let me give it a try. But now he's making it seem like Kevin is begging to go back on the show. What a fucking asshole.
Yes, and he's also making it sound like he's begging me. Well, he didn't. I don't know if it's. I have to re-listen to it, but I think he was almost making it sound like he went and bashed me and then begged me to come on the show.
Right. Yeah.
When in fact he's explaining, no, before I came on to do Joy, I called, and I think he got it right. He didn't fuck around with the dates, but he would like to. Yeah, he definitely wants to make you think that he's desperate to come on.
Right. That's
and notice, well, he can't now, but notice he's not playing it because he can't. It's Joy's footage. She's not allowed to use it before it's released. Why wouldn't you wait until it came out where you could actually play the audio?
Because he does what he usually does. He shadow boxes with himself.
That's right. And because if you play the audio, you won't need to hear his explanation. Kevin did it in less than 3 minutes.
Yep.
All that well. I tried to develop a friendship with him, and it was awkward. I mean, he started over and over again. Like, why'd you have me to your apartment? I don't know. I thought maybe there'd be a friendship there. I don't know.
Just being nice.
I was just being nice. And he called after 7 years, decided, I want to be on the show and, clear the decks and let's go. And I said to Gary, well, if you're booked up, I mean, I don't think it's all that interesting to the audience that Kevin hasn't been on the show in 7 years because he decided not to come on.
Nobody was saying whatever happened to Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, and quite frankly, I really don't even know what he's up to. I'm not aware of him all that much. I'm sorry. I mean, the ridiculousness of it is that I'm mad at Kevin because he doesn't put me in his movies. I mean, so now so now it became a thing where he was telling people.
Where did he say that?
Where did that happen?
No one said this. What the fuck?
Howard won't put me on the show. And then he started, Howard's a bully, he's been saying. And I'm like, how did I bully?
It's not he's been saying. It's again from this fucking clip that no one's yet to hear. I mean, we played it obviously now, but at this stage in the game, it's not out for public consumption yet. It will be in a week. So he's doing this. He's trying to get ahead of it because when it comes out, he knows it's going to make him look like an idiot.
Right.
Now, if you go on Reddit and you ask in those fucking denizens, they'll all go, what, he's a bit whiny. I agree. Kevin Smith is a whiny puss a lot of the times. He's been that way for a long time, but I don't think he's a liar.
Yeah, and this is just Wiggy once again, just inflating what would usually be just a soundbite to make it more than what it really is, because it has to be that he's the one that's being targeted. And it's like, no, you were asked a direct question. He responded to it. He was sincere about it. And he said, you hurt my feelings about the last time I was on the show, and I figured I'm not going to do it anymore. That's it. But now it's like, oh, I'm upset. We're having a war because people are saying that I'm mad that Kevin doesn't put me in his movies. No one said that.
Right. And the other thing is, why does Kevin, if you're such a great broadcaster, why does it take you 14 minutes to say to explain what Kevin did in less than 3?
Yeah, because I want to see fucking Howard in Clerks II play a fry cook, because that's what I was looking forward to.
Big time.
This guy, I don't know. I'm a bully. He started attacking like a tantruming child who says, I can't get on the show. I'm going to attack Howard. And that's like me saying, I'm going to attack Kevin because Kevin hasn't put me in his last 5 movies. I mean, I don't know.
All right, and it's like calling and saying, all right, I'm ready to do my close-up.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's like out of the blue, like he's ready.
This is all just made up horse shit.
This is ridiculous. They probably didn't have content for the show that day. It has to be, because this is just ridiculous.
It's like, honestly, like, remember, I stopped listening in earnest when this came out.
This is him getting ahead of what really was, because
the shitstorm.
And it really wasn't a shitstorm. It was just a soundbite. And then I could only imagine that whatever listeners went and watched the Joy Behar show and heard the clip and was like, what the fuck was Howard talking about?
Right. And the fact is if it takes as long as it takes for him to get out a fraction of what's actually the truth, and you get, I don't know, 1% truth and 99% bullshit. Right. At this point, we're all, even I at that point, I knew when he was full of crap and when he wasn't. And after I only heard this clip probably in 2015 for the first time. Maybe a little earlier, because I was filling in the gaps for a while there. And I remember when I watched the video portion of it, I go, so yeah, revisionist bullshit history.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of the highest order.
I'm not. I mean, I'm sorry. Forget it.
I'll be on the set in 10 minutes.
I didn't know I have to be attacked in some weird way. So anyway, when I went on Twitter,
always the fucking victim.
Of course.
Everyone was like, you've got to have Kevin Smith. I guess his fans were, you got to have him on. I go, I'm sorry, we're not having him on. And he's happy doing shows. If he's happy doing shows where they're going to let him talk and not ridicule him.
Why come here?
Why come here? Because we could probably say something that might be offensive to him.
Get him all upset.
Right. I don't want to do that. Listen, I really am not in a feud with the man. Gary told me that he had been calling quite a bit. And I don't know, is that such a bad thing to say? And I said, hey.
Gary didn't say that. Gary probably actually told him he called.
Right.
Howard always makes it into, like, if you, it's like Artie, the way he would say, like, I took 20 Percocet. Maybe it was 5, but he decides I got to make it a larger number because everything's over the top. Howard's the same way.
Oh yeah, he's grandiose. He's very much so.
Yeah.
We got to space out the visits.
This is what I can say. He never called me, but his
publicist. That's what I explained.
Yeah. But he took it very personally.
Right. So, okay, I'm sorry. If that's offensive, what can I tell you? I apologize, but...
He didn't take it personally. He just said, I took a shot, and, they said they were booked, and it was like, okay, whatever.
Great. Whatever. And and he said, that was the fans. They wanted it, so I did it. Boom. Now, that might be a lie, but I don't believe so.
Yeah, and even so, you're still bringing something to the table, and if it's there, it's there. It's not, all right, whatever. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And sure enough, he's not, because I'm going to be hindered by this fucking aging fucking statue who doesn't conform with the times, when I could go on 50 other shows that are basically, by this day and age, Kevin was hitting up every other platform, podcast. He was on like O&A. He was on, Matter of fact, he had his own TV series by the time he had the Comic Book Men show already. So
yep,
he was fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it was.
Well, do you think it was a situation? It could have been a situation where Kevin said, to his publicist, I'm going out, I'm doing some publicity, want to do Howard, want to do this, I want to do that.
Maybe.
And the publicist was really trying to make it happen.
I don't know. How many was he really calling a lot, Gary?
Which time?
The publicist back 7 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, well, he had a lot of, he does a lot of stuff. He does talks, he does movies, he does comics.
Right.
So we would get him pitched fairly often.
Right. So I said, hey, we'll have him on, when we're ready. See, he's not in a feud with me, but now he's bad-mouthing me on the Joy Behar show, talking about that I'm the popular kid, and then you come over and I'm one way to you. I'm two-faced. He has no feud. There's nothing wrong with me, but Howard's two-faced.
Yeah, you are.
What, and did I miss something? Did he say that?
He didn't say he's two-faced. He said it's like the popular kid.
Oh, right. He said that. Yeah, and even he took that the wrong way.
Yeah,
when he made an example of it.
Yeah,
he didn't specifically say that he's the popular kid. He made an example saying he's like the popular. What a fucking.
Oh, 79.
And when you go on his show, he humiliates you, and he doesn't let you talk. If that doesn't sound like a guy bad-mouthing me, I mean, come out and say you don't like me.
I don't think it's a I don't like you thing. I think he likes you too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a strange thing to do to a guy you like.
Well, it's when you can't have the girl.
You
bash the girl.
Well,
Nobody knows that better than Howard.
Yeah, I was about to say he's just as guilty, Mr. Friendship with David Letterman.
He was trash talking that fucking bitch Bruce Springsteen until Bruce decided to show up on the show. For 30 years.
And it's wine and roses, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you what, Kevin, I'm mad at you because you won't put me in your movies. I should have been in every one of your movies.
Now he's going to send you those scripts.
Yeah. That's not right. You won't let me on your movie. It's like, you won't let me on my show. Well, you won't let me on your movie.
That whole, you won't let me in your movies, that came out of nothing. That came out of his mind.
It's him trying to, split hairs. I finally got it right. Split hairs when it came to the direct conversation and the question that was asked about it. It's like now I have to, lobby an assault with a stupid analogy.
Right.
It doesn't coincide with the fact of what Kevin was saying. Kevin just said, "Hey, listen, I like the dude. I thought we were cool. I went on his show. He bashed me, and he's like, fuck this. I don't have to go on a show like this."
The other thing is, he thinks in 2011, he still thinks no one's going to get they're not going to have this to listen back to. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be able to dissect it, and they're not going to hear the thing that the Joy Behar show. Like, they're not going to get that. He still thinks that medium, that Sirius XM at this point, is something that's completely unassailable. And the minute he says it, that's going to be the truth. Like, because 20 years ago, when he said, these guys stole from me, that was the truth. That was the alpha and the omega. That was the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And no one was going to take him to task and call him up. Like, Steve Dahl was not going to call him up and say, what about this, 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 and this?
Yeah, because
stole from me.
Right. It's like, why even want to go through that? Why do I go through, dig through the drudgery of history when it's like it doesn't even matter anymore? And
I'll just make my own.
He would even still to this day would wish that Kevin would go back on the show right now, because why? He has nothing else going on.
Right. Like, he has one, I don't even know the number of guests now in however many shows they do here, like 70 a year, not even. Is staggeringly bad.
Yeah. It's basically you're looking at a man just wither away in front of your eyes.
Oh yeah.
And everybody passing through like to just say their goodbyes before he goes. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? We're busy.
You look it.
And now I certainly won't have
Who we have on? Beetlejuice?
Yeah. But we did. We were busy. No, we had on Jim Brewer yesterday.
Jim Brewer was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Brewer, God, I can't, he puts together a lot of movies.
Oh my goodness. Did you see his last Oscar nominated performance? It was spectacular.
What's his favorite word?
And, sorry. And I wanted to spend time with Jim. I mean, isn't this something?
Isn't this something?
What is it, Jeff?
Who are you talking about, Kevin? Who?
I know.
I'm sort of having that feeling over here. Like, does anybody really care?
Probably not. And that's why I even said, should I bring this up? Because it's probably giving him more attention than it merits. I mean.
And you're right. Why did you bring it up? It goes back to that sense of what you just did 9 years ago, which was you're bringing up something that you're saying, I don't even know why I have him on the show. And then you had him on for whatever amount of time. And did anyone care? Same thing now. You're the one that fans the flames of this. He's the one that does it.
I don't remember the breakdown, but Raven and I covered the David Lee Roth announcement of his retiring, and how Stern decided to talk about, he's angry with me for something, this, that, the other thing. I don't know what it is. I never said anything. And we had to play the audio of him in 2006 saying, I would ask him, where are the women? Are you gay? And if Roth is in the closet, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit, and I wouldn't matter to me, because the Van Halen is like, man, that's the church. Like you don't either. Those first 4 or 5 albums are just unassailable, and I don't care if they all suck dicks. The music was so good, I didn't give a fuck. And at the time, people, yes, it might have been important, but now it isn't. But then it's still now to the point where you don't bother bringing it up because it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, that's like furthest from the reality that you really care about when it came to the artistry and the music. Hell, are we now listening to Judas Priest songs and questioning ourselves? It's like,
right. Are we lighting candles and listening to it and having baths with it? No, obviously and honestly, and the people recently at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame awards, whatever, the All-Star Jam session, there was one of the most obtuse pictures I've ever seen. Dolly Parton singing with Rob Halford. But it made perfect sense because whatever they are, it's musicians first, genre second, right? So I thought it was fantastic because I like Dolly and I like Judas Priest. So yeah,
two separate ends of the spectrums joining forces.
Right. I can't wait till she covers Turbo. Let's continue.
And it's so now I'm going to be
like, could you explain to us who this guy is you're feuding?
Yeah, and now it's going to be like, once I give something energy, then it becomes something. You know what I mean?
But it's really like, wait a minute, you still haven't explained to us who you're talking about.
Exactly. He's a movie director, but
you can't even name a movie.
Well, I'm bad at that, but I'm sure other people could. What is the movie?
Well, he's the guy from Clerks.
Clerks. All right. There he is.
That was in 1994, right?
But he's known for, being, what is it, Bob and Silent J or
Bob
whatever.
and Silent J.
She did it again. She did it again.
It's like she's like a Swiss watch that never runs correctly.
What is it? She's like she runs as well as a Swiss car.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, not the movie he did with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez.
Nobody knows him for that.
And everyone's waiting to hear him on our show.
You want to know what you talked about with him, Howard, the last time he was on?
What?
I'm looking at the notes. Howard hasn't allowed Kevin on in a while. He wanted to come in, and Howard has been saying no. Howard doesn't think people care about Kevin. Robin is sure they don't.
Oh.
Robin says he's a cult guy. Howard
is.
Howard says people in cults don't make any money. And then it says Kevin is no M. Night Shyamalan.
But no one was laughing when that was on, and you're reading from Mark Spriggin, you lazy assholes.
Right, but the notes. That's Mark Spriggin. Wow. Did you ever reach out to get him on?
I've tried. I'm on his Patreon. Like I give him $1 a month. It's nothing big, but Christ, it's better than what a lot of people give. And I don't need $5 to give him $5 a month. Because it doesn't matter what you give him. As long as you're giving him something, he should be more than happy. I asked him, I told him, look, it won't be a judgmental interview. We just want to, what started, how did you get this started? Why did you continue with it? And his experience with the show, because they were plagiarizing his shit.
Exactly. Where's the money? Where's the money?
Like he basically explained on his site that they basically wanted all of his stuff, all the details, so that they could put it in the various days and on the show website, and they wouldn't have to write anything. But Jason was literally cutting and pasting from Mark's friggin' and putting it on the website.
Yeah, because their note taking was so bad that he had to go and piggyback off of that, which is,
and it was verbatim. Like they didn't even make an attempt at changing some of it to go, or reducing it or something like that, just to make it seem like it isn't a complete knockoff. But you can tell to the point that even the mistakes are in there.
Jesus, send it through Grammarly, sir.
Grammarly will help you with your essays.
Well, that's funny stuff.
Actually, now he is.
Oh my God.
Well, listen, I like Kevin.
I do too. I enjoy his movie.
Yeah.
Is the Kevin who again?
Kevin Smith. Okay.
I enjoy his movie, but I don't know what movies that he's done. You fucking, you're so fucking patronizing, you cunt.
What a cunt. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you woke up after 7 years and decided I'm okay, and you're ready for your moment.
And believe me, I don't mean it as an insult that you still have to explain to the audience who he is.
Right.
No,
just
not at all. No, that's not at all.
She's a cunt too, but we know this is her. She's a lapdog. She's got to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not James Cameron.
No.
But you know what, though? He wasn't James Cameron when you did have him on.
Right.
He's never been James Cameron. What a stupid fucking analogy.
It's once again them trying.
They're big timing him.
Yeah, exactly. They're them trying to big time him for whatever reason, when that kind of person, that individual, was your listener, was a fan of yours who actually made it. You should have been embracing individuals like that, because
you should have been like Mike Walker.
Right. And they paid homage to you in certain ways and aspects. But yet what you do, you piss on a rope on his fucking ass.
Yep.
And quite frankly, it's a lot of work to try to describe who someone is, when they're sitting here. And I'm a terrible person because I don't put him on. But then again, he doesn't put me in his movies, so shouldn't I be angry with him?
So you're admitting now you're jealous. You're angry because he doesn't put you in his movie. So maybe that's the root of his problem with Kevin.
Well, he was
angling for some appearance in his movies.
His thin veil of sarcasm is really just him being venomous, and it's just it doesn't come over very snarky or witty. It's just him being a fucking asshole, because he knows, due in part, that whatever information he got from the Joey Behar segment is one that he can toy and tinker with. So it makes him look fucking as though that he's just being a punching bag for somebody. He's he's a tool.
And that never even occurred to me that that's maybe the root of the problem, that he tried to get, in a subtle way, Kevin to butter him up so that he could put him in a movie, so he could get into that universe.
And he keeps alluding to that. And I look at his listings of movies that he's done, and I'm going, great. We could have used you as the devil in fucking Dogma. We could have used you.
We could have used his cock knocker in Jason.
You could have replaced George Carlin as the homeless fucking hobo in his movie. Yeah, that would have been you. Where else would have wanted you to see you? No one wants you in fucking movies, you ass.
Yeah, it was either him or Linda Fiorentino in Dogma. So she narrowly beat Howard out.
Yeah,
as Bethany.
yeah, because I really want to see you dance and on fucking on a stage and just replace Selma Hayek, because that would have been great for me.
Yeah, we just need a twink to go along there with you, and it's got to be, as if it was a gay strip bar, it'd be fine.
You know, he could have been in Dogma. He could have been the Golgothan, the shit god.
That'd be great.
Like I said, I watched Cop Out.
I'm angry with every director who hasn't put me in a movie.
I watched Cop Out the other day, and I enjoyed it.
There you go. You're gracious. Thank you. What is Cop Out?
It's with Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis.
There you go. You loved it.
That was cute.
Good. See? Very positive. What can I tell you? I have nothing against the man. He's a very nice guy. I think a very talented guy.
Oh.
Was it cute or you loved it?
It was cute.
Cute. All right. Well, you're cute.
I give it 3
You're
stars.
cute.
Yeah, because
That's a
we can go
compliment.
whatever the fuck Robin rates.
No. Well, she's the one that said Last Action Hero was great. That might be a worse Howard film than Raw Deal. Raw Deal was better, actually. No, and hold on. I'm trying to think what the worst Howard film. Worst Arnold film.
Arnold?
End of Days, I would say.
Oh, man. Yo, look at you son of a bitch.
Oh man, even like Eraser was Citizen Kane next to some of these films. Jesus.
Raw Deal.
What can I tell you? I was just quite tickled by that yesterday. So
I loved Red Heat though. Him and Jim Belushi. I love that. There's a Walter Hill film though. Walter Hill always puts out good shit.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a Walter Hill movie. Cool.
Yeah, I love that one line where Jim Belushi's got to arrest a guy. He goes, "You look just like Marvin Hagler," and he roughs him up and goes, "I lost money on Hagler." Let's like a throwaway line.
Let's compare Oscar nominated movies such as Commando.
Oh God, yeah. They said, "Come on, don't deprive yourself of some sport, Bennett."
Do it.
Yeah. Fucking amazing.
We're sitting home tweeting, and then all of a sudden I got barraged with Joy Behar, Kevin Smith's fans, about what a dickhead I am for not having him on. And I was like, okay, whatever. What am I going to tell you? I wish Kevin well.
Kevin's doing well.
Yeah,
It's fine.
and
Everything's fine.
I would never subject him to this show because we're such hateful people who cut him off and don't let him say what he wants to.
Did this rat go like maybe 10 minutes too long? Like, am I getting like he's just like
it should be 3 minutes and out.
Right, exactly. Just as long as Kevin put in on Joy's show, that's exactly what it should have been. His response, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, these 2 years, 2010, 2011, no, 3 years, 2010 to 2012 in its entirety is some of the most painful Stern Show shit you'll ever hear. Because Artie's not there, but also because without that, you were left with more Howard, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now what? Why come here? It was just so silly. And I know I shouldn't give any of these things attention because when I start giving it attention, then all of a sudden...
it becomes something.
Right. If I ignore it, it becomes nothing.
Maybe then why did you?
And it just feels weird because I have no animosity toward the man. And I'm sorry I broke his heart. You know, I'm not looking to break anyone. I'm not The Bachelor.
You're in this for all the right reasons.
I should say, Kevin, please, I'm here for the right reasons. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to do a radio show and earn my living and do what I think is best for my audience. And you're doing what's best for your audience.
Yeah,
That's
he
it.
has to make casting decisions when he's shooting a movie. You can't just let anybody in.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you let Fred be the star of all your movies? I'm mad at you. You won't let Fred be in your movies. I'm making a casting decision. That's it.
For what we think, you keep Fred from going on shit, too.
Exactly. How did that SNL fucking tryout
audition go out? Horatio Sanz just beat Fred out.
Exactly what it is. He knows from that. Oh, my goodness.
Not right for this part. There's nothing wrong with you.
Everything is so complicated.
Okay, so that's the end of that. Now we're going to play the last bit, which is from 2006, October 23rd. Michael Rappaport was on the wrap-up show, and is actually not bad. I don't like him. I think he's an asshole. To me, he's like the male version of Marianne from Brooklyn with slightly less annoying voice. Slightly. When I say slightly, I mean 0.001% less annoying.
You know, Baba Booey is always a fucking asshole during his fucking fantasy football league with his bullshit picks. And
you know what? That's a pretty damn good impression, I must say. So
I'm the Fred of this show. I'm trying to be the Billy West, and I'm the Fred of this show.
Fair enough. Let's go with this.
I mean, a friend of the show. I mean, you know.
Yeah, Mike was at the 01 New Year's party.
I think Mike will be one of those guys who's good on Sirius where he can say whatever the fuck he wants.
That's what I'm talking about. I had that situation with Mr. X. Remember, I blew his thing because at Howard's at the New Year's party.
I remember the New Year's party. I remember you being there. But what did you do? Did you?
No, I was hanging out. But remember, it was John because Mr. X was like flipped out on me and my friends and Marco. You know Marco Battaglia?
Yeah.
Whatever his fucking guinea name is, I'm just all you guys.
See, it's satellite.
No, but he because Mr. X when I don't know, there was some boring entertainment at that party. That was a really shitty party.
I love this. I don't know that this was played on the air the next day because it would have made Howard look like the biggest fop on the planet. New Year's Eve party in Manhattan. He hired a magician. Which he did at when he was leaving Hartford. When he was leaving Hartford to go to Detroit with Allison, he hired a magician for these rock and roll DJs to come over, these coworkers, and they're like, and the party ended by 11.
He was one entertainment move away from a fucking balloon animal builder.
Oh God, he would have been better off being, I don't know, the goblin, the kind of yellowish goblin.
Yeah, he like the balloon fucking animal maker because they don't make dildos the whole night.
Oh God, yeah.
And a magician.
He had a magician. A grown man had a magician at a New Year's Eve party. This is like before Howard. Like this is like he was still, getting comfortable being single. So like he thought, let's have a magician. And like the magician was like talking about like what his performance was, and we're bullshitting around and drinking and all this stuff. And Mr. X was like, shh, don't speak. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like Marco said that. Who the fuck is this guy? And he said, I think that's Robin's boyfriend. And he got in our faces, like told us because the magician was giving his thing, and it's not that great of a story, but
I think it's a great story, to be honest with you, because I never heard that from Howard ever. And all the years since that party, you never heard about that party, really.
And you just heard Kevin early on allude to it that he was at the party, but it never said what occurred at the party. I don't know if it was that party.
What's that?
Later on, was that Howard just complained about somebody left stains on his floor or something like that.
That I can't recall. That might have been a separate party. That might have been something else. But
I remember discussed that everybody had there was a smoking section.
Okay,
and that was there, but I'm not sure if it was the New Year's party or something else.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this episode. We just wanted to give you the full dope, as it were. We obviously weren't going to play the early appearances of Kevin on the show because that's not a story. That's not part of any kind of feud. It just, if you look it up, though, and you'll see on YouTube, there's at least 2 videos where he's in studio this, or the earliest one we played here from 2002, and its theme seems like everything's kosher until it isn't in the Stern world.
Yeah, he even played on Win Fred's Money. So yeah, apparently he was somewhat of a character on the show, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, any closing thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, I just had to say that once again, we go down this road and we figure out that, the shadow boxing is real. He's the undefeated champ when it comes to shadow boxing. He's not undefeated. He has a perfect record. He's 0-70. It's whenever he gets down to these, I guess, rivalries or feuds, you tend to look at them and realize like there really isn't anything there. It's just he makes it bigger than what it is.
Yep. And the only times like around the Lena Dunham thing is where something blew up in his face. It's one of those situations where if you have enough power in the industry and at that moment you're really hot, you could easily bend him over a table and fuck him up the ass.
Well, listen, we saw it happen with him when there was a blowback from that, where somebody told him, so you better do damage control on this shit.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was the Jamie Foxx incident as well. Yep. They had their small tiff going on until he got him back in studio and fucking blew his cock. So
so succinct.
Right.
Fair enough. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you like the thing, help us with the algorithms, like the YouTube channel, like all the videos, throw your comments. That helps. And if you have a friend not so sure, hook them into Patreon as well. And eventually they're going to be able to come up with a gifting option so you can actually buy a subscription for someone else, I believe, and just give them the access and surprise them with it. We think it's great value. We hope you do too. And we love you guys. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm.
Goodbye, my sweet loves.
I named in the book, and also reality TV people that will be hosting the event.
Well, it sounds fascinating.
Hey, Howard, this makes sense. I just read in page 6, Diana DeGarmo is writing a book. It's called Go Away, Little Monster.
Well, Eric, I wish you luck with this book. I do.
And take your little dog with you.
And I'm very excited to have a reading and hear what you have to say, okay?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, man.